Hey everyone, Adam Hooper from Sperm Donation World. Look, I'm here again, and I've done a recent video on FSH as well, the strips, and uh, ovulation test strips is what I want to focus on with this one as well. But look, basically, in the artificial insemination kits in Sperm Donation World, we use a number of different brands that due to stock and importation, and basically we check. We've gone from one flow. This one's a pregnancy test, but all these test strips work. The same method of dipping it in, submersing it in the urine, which we'll look at. These ones are a common one that are available, and also these ones now that I'm becoming a big fan of, just because I found them really easy to work with when trying to predict a recipient's ovulation and reading it. But look, the thing about these strips and even digital ovulation tests is they all work differently for different people. For some reason, like you won't respond to one test and one do will. Look, check for a certain LH level, and I'll just open this one up here. I've already opened the pack, but so yeah, the LH says LH written on there. You get your cup of urine or whatever you put your urine in. Some people do a midstream. It's always best to capture your first bit of wee, so you don't just go midstream and then try and put it on. It's probably best capture the first bit. As I said with another video, you make sure that your max lines it's below the max line, so you don't dip it. You don't dip it too far down. Obviously, that would really you'd only really need to bring your urine up to this far. I went a bit, a bit over the top and put a little bit too much in than I have to. Otherwise, you could just sit there between 3 and 10 seconds, and then you put it on. As I said before, you just put it on on a surface that isn't going to be absorbed, like a towel, or a tissue, or anything like that. So anyway, it's sitting on there now. You wait 10 minutes for it to happen. Uh, so we'll go over it. Each test strip, doesn't matter what brand, usually comes on with the back with the information and what to look for and your positives and stuff like that. As I said, with the LH, not everyone's body. A lot of women, it says like peak, your peak, and you has to match the color of the control line. Your test line has to match they have to be the same to say that you're going to be ovulating. That's normally pretty true, yet some people do not produce so much LH, so the darkness they ever get to might be below that control line. And I think that's why when you buy these artificial insemination kits, it's good to try when you're logging the info into your app at the same time in your months prior to actually meeting a donor and trying, is to actually down pat it and see, like, okay, how dark does my test go, and how long do they stay, do they give me readings for? Because some people can go from nothing to the next day, boom, or some people can be gradual where different shades, it gets darker and darker, and you can sort of go, okay, well, it's at this shade now, which and people make diaries and they put in the diaries of the month of what day of the cycle it was, and they'll put each they'll tape down these down in the book on a bit of clear sellotape, and you'll be able to see and document all your readings to how how quickly you transition. So for the next month when you want to try, you'll be like, okay, I've got this coloration now. And it's going on. Last time, it was it took a few days for it to kick in. So basically, when I say to people as well, that's not included in the AI kits, is you can buy a digital one as well. So it's good to have both to see how your body reacts to both of them. And also, if you say, for instance, you used a clear blue and you got on your flashy smileys and that, and then you got your solid, which is your solid smiley. So a lot of people get confused and they go, oh, we've got to try now because it's the flashy. The flashy isn't detecting the LH that's in on those the normal test strips. That checks for estrogen, and your estrogen rises, has a little spike before your LH surge normally kicks in. Now, some people as well, they can have a estrogen hit that goes real quick, and then the LH comes straight after that. Whereas some people, they might have an estrogen build up for 2, 3, or 4 days, or if you have polycystic ovary syndrome, it may be many days that your estrogen levels are giving you flashes, which makes it really hard. But as long having flashes doesn't mean your egg's going to get released. It's more of a guide to say, okay, if you're consistent with your ovulation, you can say, all right, so if I get 2 days flashes, then I can tell my donor that in 2 days' time, it's likelihood it's going to turn solid, and that's when we're going to start trying the inseminations. And so that's the only real thing about those digital tests, is because they're only a guide. They're a guide to letting you know when to, communicate with your donor and let him know how it's going and how it's looking and how things are progressing. When you do one of those tests, you should take a picture, send it to your donor. That way he can look back and see how you're travelling as well. If you need an extra opinion or advice, and go, well, okay, last time it looked like it took this long, and they can go over the results together. It's you're a team when you're doing this. Transparency is pretty important, and it's important that the donors also learn to understand ovulation as well, because when I first started, I didn't understand it at all, and the women that I helped, not many of them were massive experts on it either. You do your testing, you get down packed, you work out what your body is, what your body likes, what test it likes, and then you have an idea of being able to orchestrate donations to be done, at the right timing, because AI is all about timing. So if you get a donation too early, so for instance, a guy here, let's pretend this is sperm. Let's just say his first donation is up here because he's abstained. His second one might be half that, and the third one will be like that. So if you're not on a peak and you have the best donation up here, you're wasting that really good donation because you've had it too early. And then when you're actually at peak, you're using a donation that's down the bottom here. There's less likelihood of falling pregnant because there's less volume and obviously less sperm count in there. So that's why AI is so critical. It's about timing and getting it right, and then keeping your donor and having your donor be flexible. If you're showing him tests and saying, well, there's no point donating tonight because I'm not fertile, there's no point him wasting his time and rocking up. So basically, it's best for a donor to be on call, be aware that you'd rather do it once, get him, give you the best chance of falling pregnant that cycle, and then and then obviously he doesn't have to come back next month and try again. It's very important to obviously, if you're telling your donor all this, he really knows that you're taking it seriously and you're doing all the right tests and you're not wasting his time. He'd be more inclined to help you in cycles ahead. If he feels that you don't have a clue what you're doing, or he's donating at the wrong time and you're not presenting, why we're doing this, you know, a lot of donors now like the fact that, you know, that they're using Sperm Donation World AI kits, the women are, because it shows them that, you know, they're going to give their best chance, and obviously they're going to, you know, they don't have to keep coming back each month. And in a community where we have more recipients than donors, it's, you know, you're competing essentially with other women. So if another woman's saying, I'm taking vitamins and supplements and I'm doing all this, and he's presenting that to the donor, he's going to think, well, you know, obviously this person's a bit more serious and might deserve my time. And so obviously being able to predict your ovulation will give you a window that you can present to your donor, saying these dates here, I'm going to start messaging you on day 10 when I start testing, for example, and I'll update you each day with these sticks. Okay, so I think I've pretty much touched on everything about ovulation strips and why we need to navigate and keep the donor in the loop. I'm going to find out if I have to contact my donor now to see whether I need a donation tonight. And no, that came up negative, so I won't have to call my donor tonight for a donation. So anyway, I will see you around the community. Catch ya.